I left my boyfriend because of laundry, and I don't regret it for a second. When I was a kid, people in my town told stories about a mysterious figure everyone simply called the Gray Man. Nobody ever agreed on who he was. Some said he was a former detective who saw too much. Others whispered he was a disgraced professor who had vanished decades ago. But one thing was always the same. He lived alone in a crumbling, ivy-covered house at the very edge of the forest. That house terrified me more than anything. Windows always cracked open, as if someone was watching. A single rusted lantern on the porch that never went out, and the faint sound of a rocking chair coming from inside, even when no wind was blowing. As a kid, I once dropped my bike near his property. I didn't dare go in to get it. I walked home shaking, terrified that if I stepped too close to the fence, he would pull me inside. For years, I avoided that road. Everyone did. But when I turned 17, I got a job delivering groceries around town. And eventually, the address I feared the most appeared on my delivery list, the old forest house. The Gray Man's house. My coworkers laughed it off, saying nobody had seen him for months and that the order was probably a mistake. But the bag had already been paid for, and the company policy was strict. Deliver everything unless the customer cancels. I stared at the bag in my hands, tea, canned peaches, a small jar of honey, and felt an involuntary shiver run down my spine. I tried to trade the delivery with a coworker, but they refused, calling it a rite of passage. So I went. The dirt road leading to the house felt far longer than it should. Every step toward that crooked porch felt like sinking deeper into a story I didn't want to be part of. When I rang the doorbell, the rocking sound inside stopped instantly. No footsteps, no voice, just silence thick enough to choke on. I turned to leave, but then the door clicked open behind me. An old man stood there, thinner than I expected, with long gray hair tied back loosely. He didn't look frightening. He just looked tired. His eyes were sharp, though too sharp like he saw straight through me. "I've been expecting you," he said. His voice was soft but unsettling, like someone who'd practiced speaking after years of silence. I handed him the grocery bag quickly, mumbling that everything was already paid for and that I had other deliveries to make. But he didn't take the bag. Instead, he gestured for me to bring it inside. The rule at the job was clear: never enter a customer's home. But the way he kept staring at me made it feel like refusing wasn't an option. My hand was shaking as I stepped over the threshold. The house smelled like dust and old books. Inside, every piece of furniture seemed older than the man himself. But what truly made my breath hitch was the wall, an entire wall covered with photographs. Hundreds of them. And I froze when I understood what I was looking at. Every picture was of someone from town. Kids at the park. High school students walking home. Grown adults going to work. And there, in the center of the wall, was a photo of me. At age 10. Standing next to my crashed bike near his fence. I felt my stomach twist. Before I could say anything, the old man finally spoke. "You dropped your bike that day. You were afraid to come back for it." I didn't answer. He stepped closer. "I watch over this town. I always have. Most people don't see the danger coming until it's too late." My voice cracked when I asked, "Why do you have pictures of everyone?" He sighed, like I had asked a painfully obvious question. "Because someone must pay attention." Then he pointed to a different photograph, one I hadn't noticed because it was pinned lower than the rest. It showed a stranger, a man I had never seen, standing near the elementary school playground, watching children. "This one," the Gray Man whispered, "came into town 2 days ago." My heart started pounding. He lifted a pair of old binoculars from the table and placed them in my hands. "I'm too old to keep watch alone. You see him anywhere, you call the police immediately. Do you understand?" I nodded without thinking. He took the bag of groceries, closed the door gently, and the rocking sound resumed from inside. I walked back to the road in a daze, feeling like I had stepped into someone else's nightmare. But the strange thing is, I did see the man from the photograph. That same evening, standing at the edge of the park. I called the police. They arrested him. Turned out, he was wanted in 3 states. The next morning, the Forest House order appeared again on the delivery list. Same items, same address. But when I arrived, the house was empty. The rocking chair was gone. The lantern was cold. Dust covered the windows like nobody had lived there in years. The gray man had vanished. And sometimes, when I walk past the old path to the forest, I swear I see a figure standing far between the trees, gray hair tied back, watching the town he swore to protect. My parents tried to make me cancel my engagement party, just so they could celebrate my brother Leon's college graduation instead. I refused, and now they're angry because almost all the relatives came to my party, not his. I'm 28. My brother is 26. Leon recently finished a local college, and around the same time, I proposed to my girlfriend Nina, who I've been with since high school. We've been together for 10 years, and it was finally time to make it official. I sent out invitations for our engagement party at our house. The party was yesterday, but just 5 days after sending the invitations, my parents called and said, "You have to cancel it." I didn't understand why. When I told them I wasn't going to, they said they wanted to throw a party for Leon on the same day. They hadn't sent out invitations yet, so I suggested they move their party. It seemed like a fair compromise, but no. Both my parents and Leon were furious. This wasn't new. Leon has always been the golden child. Every achievement, no matter how small, was celebrated. My accomplishments? Mostly ignored. I remember realizing it at age 7. My 5th birthday was a small, modest thing. My parents thought I wouldn't remember it. When Leon turned 5, they threw a huge theme party with all his friends invited. It was the same throughout our lives. Middle school, high school, college. Leon always got a big celebration, while I got a pat on the back and a few kind words. So after finishing high school, I started distancing myself from my parents. They still paid for my college, so I didn't cut ties completely, but as soon as I got a job, I almost stopped communicating with them. So when they told me to cancel my engagement party for Leon's graduation, I said no. My brother is 26, finishing a local college, and I was celebrating 10 years of love and my proposal to Nina. For me, that's more important. They started yelling, accusing me of jealousy, saying I intentionally chose that date to steal attention from my brother. I sent a message to our relatives explaining the situation truthfully. Most of them understood and supported me. They had seen how my parents always favored Leon. The party went perfectly. Almost everyone came, and Nina and I were happy. But the next morning, my parents and Leon showed up at our house. They were yelling, calling me jealous and a terrible son. I wanted to call the police, but Nina convinced me to try talking. It was useless. They wouldn't listen. Eventually, I told them, "No more contact. Leave." We blocked their numbers. 3 weeks later, they showed up at Nina's parents' house, trying to manipulate the situation. But it quickly became obvious how ridiculous it was. Nina's parents supported us and made it clear they wouldn't let my parents in again. Almost a year has passed. I haven't spoken to my parents or my brother. It's been the best year of my life. Nina and I got married 2 months ago, and everyone we love was at our wedding. My parents and Leon didn't congratulate us, and honestly, we're glad. It means we didn't have to deal with them. Now, the only thing that matters is Nina and me. Nothing else bothers me. If you enjoyed this story, make sure to like, subscribe, and check out our other videos. And tell me in the comments what you would have done if you were in my shoes.